Hello there. Well, it has been a minute, hasn't it, since anything has been uploaded to this channel. Um, Life has just gotten in the way again. Work, not been too well this past 2 or 3 weeks. Um, coming down with a cold and chest infection and such. And everyone's just been busy. Everyone that's a part of this channel's just been busy. With that said, I'm here for a video. And I'm here to discuss, well, it is quite strange to think it's been 4 years now that MLP G5, Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale, it is, well, Make Your Mark anyways. It's been 4 years since G5, Make Your Mark actually started. 4 years. It honestly does not feel it's been as long as that. I honestly thought it's only been about 2 years. That is actually quite scary, but obviously this is since the film came out, the film that started it off, and then the series that followed. So yeah, 4 years. It is quite unreal. So I wanted to make a quick video discussion. I know I've spoken over the years. I've spoken about G5 in some shape or form. We've done live streams talking about G5, talking about the episodes. We've done, all sorts of stuff, discussing it as, with my fellow co-hosts. But seeing as it's now 4 years, and that is actually quite scary to think it's been as long as that. It really doesn't feel it has been that long. But anyway, so 4 years of G5, and there's been a lot of discussion going around on the Facebook groups and also here on YouTube as well. People have been discussing the 4 years of G5. People have been discussing their their overall thoughts of G5, and this is basically what this video is. It is my full-on overall thoughts in kind of a nutshell of my thoughts with G5. Now, obviously, I'm going to kind of nitpick with what I've already spoken about in past videos, but G5, when I saw the film that started it all off, and the series Make Your Mark is what followed afterwards, and the specials we got as well. And obviously, we still have Tell Your Tale. Tell Your Tale's still going. But Make Your Mark for the moment has completely finished. Well, it's finished, but I've no idea whether we're going to get any more seasons or any more chapters, or it's just going to end when Tell Your Tale finishes. Maybe that's going to be it, and maybe it'll move forward with another generation or a different series. I don't know, but when the film came out, My Little Pony, the Netflix original film, when that came out, I was actually relatively surprised. I was excited, I was interested, but at the same time, I was a little unsure. Before I saw anything, when I heard the announcement we were getting a G5, G5, and also the information we got in relation to it, saying that basically G5 is still going to be within the confines, within the continuity of G4, but it's going to follow completely new characters. However, we miss, with it being within the continuity of G4, it kind of got people's imaginations going as to, will we see some returning faces? But then when we got the film, we find out quite quickly a lot of time has passed, and we actually don't know at first in the film, and we kind of got an idea now of how much time has passed since the end of since G4, the ending of G4 to G5, the time scale. We've kind of got a rough idea now of the amount of time that has passed and we did indeed have, we had we had a returning face as Spike came back, and also we got like little cameos. Well, we got the cameo thing of the G4 characters, in that little segment, like a dream segment thing, in the film. So we did kind of get little nods to let you know that it is part of the continuity, but yet Twilight and her friends, the G4 characters, are now kind of seen as a nursery rhyme. They're not a nursery rhyme, but they're kind of seen as a story the adults tell their kids. It's kind of like a legend. They've become a legend. And you find out as well that there's like this prejudice, if you will, between the species, between the races, between the Pegasi, between the Earth ponies, and all the different ones. They're all being split up, and they all live in their own areas, and they're all paranoid of each other, and the magic has disappeared. So, but obviously we found all this out in the movie. The movie, for me, my overall thoughts on the movie, I was genuinely really impressed with it. I thought the animation, the CGI animation was Pixar quality. It was just unreal of how beautiful and how vibrant, how beautiful and how vibrant the animation was. And I really liked the characters as well. I mean, I instantly fell in love with Izzy. Izzy is my favourite for G5 for the main core characters, and I just instantly fell in love with Izzy as soon as she came on. Well, actually, as soon as I saw the trailer for it. Actually, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I like her. And then when I saw the film, I was like, I really do like her. She's my favourite. And Sam, my fellow co-host, his favourite was Sonny, the main character. The main character that the movie more followed. And so yeah, Sonny was my fellow co-host favourite. But it's the film had promise, and it definitely had a decent direction, and it had good element to it, and it had some great songs. I thought there was some good songs in there, and I thought overall, the beginning of a new generation. I thought it was pretty decent start. And then, obviously, when we come into the series, the Make Your Mark series, we get a Bridge Gap special. So basically, after the film, we got a special, and then after the special, the series started. So that special, when that came out, my God, I understand when it comes to a series and when it comes to the film, there was a lot more of a budget for the film and a lot more money, and it generally looks beautiful, and they had a really good voice cast as well. They had Vanessa Hudgens in there, Kamiko Glenn, they had Phil Lamar. They had some incredible voice talent a part of the movie, or the film. And then we find out that there's been a full cast. All the cast have been changed to relatively up-and-coming talent. And now I don't have any issue with the voice performances when they recast the characters for the series. I generally think they did a good job at trying to emulate or kind of like carry on those voices that was started, with the film. I thought they did a good job at copying those, copying, but also kind of making them their own at the same time. I generally thought I thought they did a good job at voicing the characters. However, I didn't think the writing was as good for the series. There was points there, like at the beginning, the first couple, like I've mentioned this a few times in previous discussions about G5, and it's one of my greatest problems I have with G5 is it's almost as if they were quite obviously setting things up. They were setting things up. It was seemed to be at the beginning of the series, things were going. Things seemed to kind of be lining up, and things seemed to be kind of going quite well, quite well. But then we get to the end of each chapter, and then when another chapter starts, it backs up on itself. It kind of like the series seems to be going somewhere, and then the next chapter starts, and it's kind of like backs up on itself, and it kind of goes back to just a lot of the episodes were very much, there was no essence, not as much essence to what was going on. It was just relative, just what can we do? Let's go on an adventure. Let's just like do this, and then Izzy does something funny, and another character does something, and it was just very kind of like that every time a chapter started, and then it would start off again. But then as the chapters went on, you could tell the storyline and the writing, whatever they originally were thinking about working towards, you can definitely tell within the writing of G5, the series Make Your Mark, that there is a big shift in where they were going, where they originally thought they were going. Now, they were obviously they were originally going in a certain direction, and then there was changes as the series progressed, and you can tell within the writing of how things were progressing, how things were going, that things were changing. And then you get introduced to Misty as it goes on. She starts off as basically like comedy, kind of like comedy relief. She starts off not necessarily as a bad guy. She's like confused. She was an orphan, and Opaline, or when you want to pronounce her, she basically found her, or so she says, and basically raised her herself, but raised her in a way to be bad. And you can tell she's got conflicting things within her. She doesn't really want to be bad, and she basically wants to make friends. She doesn't have a cutie mark, and all this kind of like comes into play with her character. Now, this is the only, I think, in my opinion, where the writing really did go well. And there was I think there was a different. I think when the series started with the writing, since with the movie, what happened with the movie, and then once we come into the series, you can definitely tell that they had an original plan, and then things started to change, and then they introduced this other character that would obviously become an official member of the main character cast, which is Misty. And the writing for Misty is actually the best bit, I think, for the writing side of it. The writing, the story, the development. Misty, I believe, in my opinion, has the best of character development within the series. A lot of the other characters, I will say the sisters, Zip and Pip, I think they also have a relatively okay character. Their development as characters isn't too bad either. But I think Misty, the writing and the writing more supports Misty, I think. And I think the writing gives her character a lot more justice than the other ones. Yes, Zip, like I just said, Zip and Pip, the writing for them and them as characters, it's actually quite decent for them too. But for Sunny and Izzy, and also for Hitch, the writing for those characters, even though Sunny's supposed to be the main title character, she's meant to be the main character of this series. She's basically G5's version of Twilight. You know what I mean? She's the main character. So, but yeah, the development around her seemed to really suffer, I think, and the limelight seemed to be kind of taken away from Sunny, even though she's meant to be the main character. The limelight seemed to be taken away from Sunny and more in the direction of Misty, and Zip and Pip and all that. But Hitch and Izzy. Now I still love Izzy. Even now, I still love Izzy. She's my main. She's one of my favorite characters for the series. Misty is also one of my favorite characters of the main characters. I love Misty as well. But for me personally, for Izzy, there wasn't really any development with her at all. They generally just kept her as this silly buffoon comedy relief, which I love about her character. But yet she seemed to have more depth to her in the movie that started it all off. She seemed to have a lot more depth to her character. She seemed to have a little bit more about her as a character in the film. But then when it came to the series, Izzy just started she didn't really change, and she didn't really kind of seem her, the development and the writing around her just kind of kept her as the silly pony. At least with G4, when like Pinkie Pie, basically Izzy is kind of like G5's version of Pinkie Pie. That's how I see it. And basically, Pinkie Pie, even with Pinkie Pie's character, yes, she was the comedy relief. She got up to all this weird stuff, breaking the fourth wall, all that kind of thing. But when it comes to certain points, there's certain points with her character, but the writing and her development keeps going, and she's not just comedy relief. There is more to her character, and you found that out as the series progresses. But with G5, with Izzy, you don't seem to get that with her, which is a bit of a letdown. With Hitch, however, it was really quite interesting because this is the first time there's been a male main character, a pony character, a part of the main roster of characters, the main core characters. This is the first time in MLP history that there's been a male pony, an actual male pony as the main six, if you will. But Hitch in the film, he was really good again. The writing, everything seemed to be really, really good for him. But then when it came to the series, he became more of the obviously when they introduced the baby dragon and everything and all the thing with that, he just became this nervous wreck. He wasn't as nervous. It wasn't really that much of a nervous wreck in the movie as compared to the series. In the film, basically, Hitch was a lot more driven. He knew he was the sheriff, and he knew his responsibilities. He knew that it was his job to keep the citizens of Maytime Bay safe, and all this, that, and the other. Yes, of course, he's a very comedic character. A lot of stuff goes on with him, but in the film, he was driven. He knew what he had to do. But then when you come into the series, that kind of vanishes. He becomes a nervous wreck. He almost doesn't really know what to do as the sheriff, and quite and then obviously they bring the baby dragon into it, and Hitch pretty much kind of looks after the baby dragon, and that kind of thing. And yeah, so I think for the series, as the series went on, and the writing, the characters that really suffered the most, I think, is mostly Sunny, Hitch, and Izzy. I think Zip and Pip and Misty are the more stronger. I think the writing, the story, and the development for those characters is much stronger. And also, like I said, even though I like the music. There's a lot of there's some really quite nice songs a part of G5. Um, but yeah, is as well, like I was alliterating before getting on, talking about the series. I was talking about the specials. Now, I believe we got, was it 4 specials? Was it 4? I think it was 4. Yeah, we got a special. Yeah, we got the special in between the movie and the start of the series. So we got the first special, and then we got another special which was Bradle Woodstock, which was was that one. Then there was a holiday special, like a Christmas special, and then there was the last and fourth one, I believe, which was, what was that one? Yeah, so basically, within there was only 2 that were more canon story based. There was 2 that was more story based, and the other 2 were more. So yeah, there was 4 altogether. So 2 were more just like additional. They wasn't really story driven. They didn't really have much of a place in the story. They were just like additional. It was just like an additional special. Basically, there was nothing really to them. So basically, the Bradle Woodstock episode was one of those, which was just like an additional thing that they did. Um, and then obviously the holiday special, which was more the Christmas special one that they did, which of course is more, for it's a seasonal thing for the little kids and everything. So those 2 aren't really, they're canon, but what I mean is they're not story driven. They're not nothing interesting or nothing important really happens within those 2 specials. Um, that kind of drives what's going on within the narrative of the story. So then, but the other 2, which is the first special and I think the fourth and last special, are actually story driven, and they do have something to do with the narrative of what's been going on with the story. But yeah, it was interesting because as you guys will know, there was like about 2 or 3 different studios working. There's actually, I think there's 3 studios, animation studios working on that was working on the series. You had a animation studio that was working on the main Make Your Mark series. Then you had a different. Then I think it was E1. Yeah, it was E1 and Hasbro and someone else that did the film. Hence why it was much better production value and a lot more. There was a lot more money in there because you had, it was a much better. The animation studio was, top tier when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, so basically had the animation studios or the people behind the film, but then when it came to the series, you had an animation studio that tackled the main Make Your Mark series, and then you had another separate studio that did the specials only, and then then there's another, I think a third one that does the Tell Your Tale side. So there's like 3, I think maybe 3 or 4 different studios that kind of duck and weave throughout the whole thing. And it gets a little bit annoying because when you get the animation in the main series is actually quite nice. It's not as nice as the film, of course, but it's still nice to look at, and it's still vibrant, and it's still, the colours are nice and everything. And the animation for the main series is quite good. But then when it comes to the specials, you can tell there's a massive difference within the quality of the animation. And that was a big talking point from a lot of people within the fan base when it came to the animation difference, like the irregularities basically the irregularities within the animation, that you basically, you could tell there was a drastic difference with, when we got the film, and then we got that bridge gap special at the very beginning before the start of the series, the Make Your Mark series, and then basically you've got you basically, my God, it was bad to the point where there was literally there didn't seem to be any sort of emotion on the characters' faces. They all looked very robotic, compared to the film. But obviously, as it went on, it improved to a point. But you can still see there's a difference between the specials, the animation for the specials to the main series. You can tell there's a difference between the two. But man, there was glaring issues with animation, like irregularities between the specials and the series. Now, when it comes to Tell Your Tale, I haven't yet finished or I'm not actually caught up with Tell Your Tale. I need to get my ass in gear and get caught up on it, because I do realise there's 2 seasons. I think it's still going, season 2. So I need to catch up with what's going on with Tell Your Tale. But Tell Your Tale, I'm not a big fan of the animation style. However, I do like it. I like the writing side of it for Tell Your Tale. Yes, it's not as nice to look at, because all the characters have really weird proportions, and it's a little bit distracting to try and look past the animation to what's going on with the writing and the story and the narrative. But with Tell Your Tale, even though it's like very quick episodes, like 10, like maybe 5-10 minute episodes, each one, and like in between, there's like maybe 2 or 3 episodes per thing. The way that they've done it with Netflix is like 2 or 3 per 30 minutes or something like that, or 25 minutes or whatever. So basically they are very quick. So obviously it's a YouTube, for YouTube only, as you know. But yeah, the animation I can't really get past. But at the same time, I think the characters are better in Tell Your Tale, in Tell Your Tale than in Make Your Mark. I just think they've got more energy about them. They seem to have more expression, because it's 2D animation rather than 3D. So I believe they seem to be. It seems to kind of be a little bit more freer with what happens, and also it seems to have a little bit more depth with the story. Even though apparently originally Tell Your Tale wasn't supposed to be canon, it was just meant to be just more like additional content that was just for YouTube. It was just meant to be additional content. It was not really supposed to be canon, but it looks like it has become canon, because they do reference stuff that happens in the film. They reference stuff that happens in the series. So with them referencing certain things that happens within the main core Make Your Mark series and whatever, and the film, then it is actually canon now. So what actually happens, and I know it's obviously supposed to be a little bit more freer, and it's meant to be a little bit more child friendly, and it's just quick viewing, so you can blast through quite a few episodes, relatively quickly. But yeah, I mean, for what I've seen of Tell Your Tale I'm actually quite impressed with the writing, and the drastic difference of how the characters react with each other, and what goes on compared to what happens in Make Your Mark itself. It just seems like a completely different thing. even though it is connected. But yeah, but there we go. There are my. It's a bit longer than I was expecting, to be honest, but there we go. It has been 4 years now of G5, and there is my honest opinion about my general thoughts, the issues I have with G5. I mean, I don't completely hate G5, okay? I don't completely hate it. I'm not one of these people within the fan base that completely blast it. I like some aspects of G5, but it does not, it just don't, for me, it doesn't hold up as well compared to G4. And I think a lot of fans will agree with me there. But end of the day, G4 was G4, Friendship is Magic was Friendship is Magic. That was that series. This is its own series, new characters, different characters, and a different world. Even though it's the same world, but it's different, and it's much further in the future. But yeah, there was a lot of wasted potential with G5. I think it's a shame because I did mention a part of one of my live streams. I spoke about that they had problems with, basically, if they had, if they wanted to bring in a cameo, or if they wanted to have any of the main 6 characters for G4 in an episode, even if it's in a flashback or anything, they apparently Disney Family, I believe, Disney Family still have part ownership of Friendship is Magic as a series, and then obviously Hasbro owns it, but also Disney Family also have a substantial like a partnership, obviously. So apparently, to bring in a G4 character, the main character for G4, Netflix for Make Your Mark, they had to pay Disney. They had to play Discovery Plus, or Discovery Family, sorry, the channel Discovery Family. They had to pay those people a substantial amount of money each time they used a G4 character. So not just to deal with Hasbro, they also had to appease other people that have hands in the pot, if you know what I mean. So because of that is why the writing and the narrative and what they originally set out, I think they originally set out to make it, I think they originally set out to actually have some cameos actually come into it, actually maybe have Twilight, maybe have Discord come into it, but they ended up doing Spike. They ended up bringing Spike into it. They spoke about Twilight. Twilight did the holographic. They had the holographic thing, the message, holographic message. That was they did that for Twilight, and then obviously they had in the film all the whole main 6 characters in like dream sequence. So yeah, so they did that, and then they had Twilight in the main Make Your Mark series in a holographic message, and then it kind of basically I think she finds a journal, and she finds out all these different things, stuff about Twilight and her friends and such and all that stuff, but yeah, and then obviously I think you find more about the elements of harmony. And in their time, things have changed a little bit when it comes to how the magic works. But yeah, so I think there's a bit of a wasted potential with G5. I think G5 could have been a lot more special than it was. And I think, unfortunately, they had issues. I don't think they had a massive budget for Make Your Mark as compared to the film. So I think they had budget constraints. They had issues with different people that have part ownership of Frenchby's Magic, you know, had their hands in the pot, as it were, you know, and that kind of caused some issues with the story and the narrative as the series progressed, which is a shame, I think. But anyway, there we go. There is my 2 cents. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we will be back very soon with another live stream. Hopefully I can get my 2 co-hosts to come on and try and get some more videos out there for you guys. But thank you very much for your patience. Sorry it's been so long since I myself have uploaded, or anyone has uploaded anything here. But there we go. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.